Ever wonder who stirs the pot in the world of sports commentary? Now, that's a question that has crossed the minds of many sports enthusiasts. Sports commentary, you see, is not just about relaying what's happening on the field. It's an art of storytelling, blending facts with insights, and yes, stirring up a bit of controversy now and then. Why the controversy, you ask? Well, it's simple. Controversy sparks conversation, fuels debate, and keeps the world of sports alive and dynamic. And there are those commentators, those masters of the microphone, who have perfected the art of the controversial take. They know how to get under the skin, challenge conventional wisdom, and provoke thought. In this video, we'll be counting down the top 5 sports commentators known for their controversial takes. We'll delve into their most debatable positions and why they've caused such a stir. So buckle up and stay tuned as we kick off with number 5 on our list. Starting off the countdown at number 5, we have a commentator who's no stranger to controversy. Meet our Underdog Agitator, a sports commentator who has built a reputation for going against the grain and championing the underdogs. His name is synonymous with unpredictability. Having started his career in the late 90s, he quickly rose to fame with his unorthodox views and bold predictions. He's a man who has never shied away from expressing his opinion, no matter how controversial it might be. One of his most controversial takes was his audacious claim that the 2020 Olympics should have been canceled altogether, not just postponed, due to the pandemic. This sparked a heated debate on the impact of the pandemic on sports, and raised questions about the importance of health over competition. Another instance that ruffled feathers was his staunch defense of athletes who chose to kneel during the national anthem. He argued that it was an act of peaceful protest and a fundamental right, a position that divided opinion and ignited fierce discussions on the intersection of sports, politics, and social issues. But perhaps his most contentious stance came when he advocated for the inclusion of esports in the Olympics. His argument was that esports require just as much skill, strategy, and dedication as traditional sports. This sparked a worldwide debate on the definition of sport and whether esports should be recognized on the same level. His takes often challenge the status quo and force us to question our own beliefs about sports. They might be controversial, but they're a breath of fresh air in an industry that often favors consensus over controversy. The Underdog Agitator's fearless commentary and unyielding support for the underdogs make him a unique voice in the world of sports commentary. He may not always be right, but his audacity to question the mainstream narrative ensures that the conversation around sports is never dull. Quite the character, isn't he? Let's move on to the 4th spot. At number 4, we have a commentator whose words often divide the sports community. Meet the Polarizing Pundit, a sports analyst who never shies away from sparking a heated debate. This commentator, who started off as a beat reporter, climbed the ranks with their razor-sharp insight and fearless approach to sports commentary. Their career has been marked by a series of controversial takes that often leave the sports community divided. One of the pundits' most fiercely debated takes was their suggestion that the traditional structure of the team sports should be overhauled. They proposed that teams should be allowed to have more than the standard number of players on the field. Many saw this as a radical move that would disrupt the very essence of the sports. The pundit, however, argued that this change would bring an exciting new dynamic to the game, making it more unpredictable and thrilling. Another contentious stance taken by the Polarizing Pundit was their criticism of the over-reliance on data in sports. They argued that the obsession with statistics was stripping the game of its unpredictability and reducing it to a mere numbers game. This was a controversial take, as many believe that data analysis has revolutionized sports, helping teams to optimize their strategies and improve player performance. In a world where most sports commentators play it safe, the Polarizing Pundit stands out for their willingness to challenge the status quo. Their controversial takes, while often critiqued, also stimulate thought-provoking discussions about the future of sports. Whether you agree with them or not, there's no denying that their bold viewpoints add a unique flavor to sports commentary. The pundits' divisive opinions have made them a controversial figure in the sports world. Some see them as a disruptor who is pushing the boundaries of sports analysis. Others view them as a provocateur who is more interested in creating controversy than in providing insightful commentary. A divisive figure indeed. Who could be next? Let's find out. Securing the middle spot at number 3, we have a commentator who's always making headlines. This is the Unapologetic Analyst, a figure who's as well known for their controversial takes as they are for their deep knowledge of the game. Let's dive into the career of this commentator. With a career spanning over 2 decades, they've seen it all. From the most gripping matches to the most dramatic moments, they've been there, unflinchingly providing their analysis. This commentator is known for their razor-sharp insights and their refusal to shy away from tough conversations. Now, what makes the Unapologetic Analyst so controversial? Well, let's look at a few of their most contentious takes. They once claimed that a certain team's victory was purely due to luck, not skill, sparking a heated debate among fans and professionals alike. They also suggested that a widely beloved player was overrated, causing a stir in the sports community. These are just a few examples, but they encapsulate the analyst's unapologetic nature and willingness to challenge popular opinion. What makes these takes controversial is their deviation from the norm. Most commentators tend to stick to safer observations, but the Unapologetic Analyst isn't afraid to go against the grain, even if it means ruffling a few feathers. This commentator's takes often challenge the status quo, prompting us to question our own beliefs about the game. These controversial positions, while divisive, certainly make for interesting discussions. They force us to revisit our assumptions and engage in meaningful debates. This is the power of the Unapologetic Analyst. They don't just commentate on the game, they change the way we think about it. A commentator who truly knows how to stir things up. But who's at number 2? Let's see. Just missing the top spot at number 2, we have a commentator who's never afraid to speak their mind. Enter the realm of the Firebrand Commentator. This is a personality who thrives on controversy, a commentator who consistently stirs up the sports world with their fiery takes. They're well known for their passion, their uncompromising stance, and their ability to ignite debate. Our Firebrand Commentator didn't start out as a controversy magnet. Once a respected athlete, they transitioned into the world of commentary post-retirement. With their extensive experience on the field, they brought a unique perspective to the table. But it wasn't their insights that caught the attention of sports fans. It was their audacious opinions. Among the commentator's most controversial takes, their assertion that some of the most celebrated sports figures were, in fact, overrated. This audacious stance sparked outrage among fans and fellow commentators alike. But our Firebrand Commentator stood by their words, unflinching in the face of criticism. Then there was their controversial take on the role of technology in sports. While many praised the use of technology for fair play, this commentator argued that it was robbing the game of its human element. This view was met with mixed reactions, with some applauding their perspective and others decrying it as backward thinking. What makes these takes controversial? It's their deviation from the norm, their challenge to widely accepted beliefs. It's the fact that they make us question our own views, that they ignite debates and discussions. But it's also the way these views are presented, with a fire and passion that's hard to ignore. The Firebrand Commentator might not be everyone's cup of tea. Their controversial takes might ruffle feathers and spark debates. But there's no denying their influence in the world of sports commentary. They're a voice that demands to be heard, a personality that refuses to be ignored. A true firebrand. But who could top our list? Let's reveal our number 1. And finally, at number 1, we have the commentator who's the ultimate master of controversy. This title goes to none other than the audacious, the brazen, the downright provocative, John the Provocateur Doe. Rising from the ranks of local sports radio to primetime television, Doe has never shied away from stirring the pot. One of his most controversial takes? His assertion that the golden era of sports is nothing more than glorified nostalgia. He argued that today's athletes are superior in every way, a claim that set off a firestorm among traditionalists. Another infamous moment? His insistence that the underdog story, so beloved in sports, is often a sham. He suggested that it's usually a marketing ploy rather than a true tale of overcoming odds. This sent shockwaves through the sports world, challenging the very narratives we hold dear. There you have it, the king of controversy in sports commentary. That wraps up our countdown of the top 5 most controversial sports commentators. From the Underdog Agitator, who never shies away from rooting for the least likely to win, to the Polarizing Pundit and his ability to spark heated debates. We've also discussed the Unapologetic Analyst, who isn't afraid to voice out controversial perspectives, and the Firebrand Commentator, whose fiery remarks always stir up a storm. Last but not least, we highlighted the ultimate provocateur, the commentator who loves pushing boundaries and challenging the status quo. These commentators certainly know how to keep the sports world on its toes, don't they? We'd love to hear your thoughts on these controversial figures and their audacious takes. Do you agree with their views or do they ruffle your feathers? Let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, keep the sports spirit alive.